What's up, everybody? What's up, you guys? Welcome to Discovering Nicole. That would be me, your girl, Discovering Nicole. I'm really excited because today we have a guest speaker coming on, Jared from the Blaklist podcast. I will make sure to link all his socials in the comment section of this video. I've also tagged him on my community tab on YouTube and on Facebook, so you guys can find him there as well. If you guys don't mind, do me a solid and share this video, like the video, and invite your friends. That's right. Share the video, like the video, and invite your friends. I am going to do the same thing. So hold on just 1 second so I can do my thug fizzle. Okay? Okay. La 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 la. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, you guys. Sorry, I had to go onto YouTube and share the video. Jared, I know you're back there. I'm going to bring you on in just a second, so hang tight. I just want to get everybody situated and get everybody to share in the video. You guys, do me a solid. Like I was saying, please like the video, share the video, and invite your friends. Don't be shy, okay? Help your girl out, and let's do this. If you're in recovery, I would like to know, are you an abstinence-based recovery person? Are you on medication-assisted treatment? Or are you using plant medicine? Or are you a person that is has used religion to help you get sober? Comment down below and let me know what pathway to sobriety you have taken and if it has worked for you and how you're doing right now, okay? My name's Nicole. I'm a person obviously in recovery, and I utilized medication-assisted treatment, Suboxone. I went into a detox center. I was there for 6 days. Then I did 30 days of residential treatment, and then I got on medication-assisted treatment after I got out of rehab. Best decision I ever fucking made, y'all. Real talk. Okay? For so many years, I was taught that the only way to get sober was through abstinence-only sobriety. And for many years, I struggled. I wasn't able to maintain abstinence-based sobriety. Whenever I would get sober, I would make it for about 6 to 9 months, and then I would relapse every single time, y'all. So I am a huge advocate for doing what works for you. I will never judge you for doing what helps save your life, okay? Ever, all right? But before we get Jared over here on video with me, I do want to say for the longest time, I used to be totally against Kratom. And you're probably going to clutching your pearls. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, honey. I used to be against Kratom because the information that was being shared with me was painting Kratom in a bad light. So for the past probably like 4 or 5 months, I have been searching for somebody to come on my channel and to share their experience with Kratom Recovery. And I hadn't been able to really get a person that would be willing to come on. You know, it's kind of nerve-wracking to be on in front of a bunch of people, right? And so me and Jared were on the phone talking about I'm going to go on his podcast at the end of the month, and then his fiance came on came on the channel last week, and we were just getting to talking, and he said, I'm on Kratom, and I was like, no, I didn't know that you were on Kratom. And so that was like a big deal to me because I've been looking for somebody to come on and share their experience with Kratom Recovery. So let me go grab Jared. Hold on. Hey, Jared, what's up?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you good. Can
All
you hear
right.
me good?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm so excited to have you on because, like I was saying before, I have been searching for somebody to come on and share their lived experience with utilizing Kratom in recovery. So can you do me a solid and introduce yourself to everybody and tell us a little bit about how, just like kind of touch on, because I really want to get into the meat and potatoes of talking about uh, Kratom in recovery. I really want to talk about that. Will you share with us who you are? Tell us a little bit about the podcast, and then share with me how you got into addiction, and then what was it that made you decide to take Kratom to help you stay sober? So take over.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Definitely. This is actually, I don't think I've ever really publicly ever like spoke into like the depth we're going to talk to today on this topic. So I'm excited for it. But my name is Jared Blaine. I am one of the hosts of the Blaklist podcast. I'm a person in long-term recovery. I'm 5 years off of fentanyl. Um, I do take kratom, and we'll get into that. But I'm just a person who just wants to help save people's lives at the end of the day. And our podcast, that's what we do. We bring on people that are in recovery and mental health and different aspects of it, and we just have an authentic conversation. And so, for me, just really quick, I grew up shuffled around a lot, and I was sexually abused as a child, and physically abused, and um, being in drug runnings and different things like that was normal to me. Like that's a normal life. And so, yeah, I didn't complete a full year of school until I was in like seventh grade. So
Because you
it,
were moving around so much from
it
like place to
yeah.
place.
Yeah, exactly. My mom would be with these guys that would, move all over the place and beat the crap out of her and us and all that. So,
Did your
anyway,
mom struggle with substance use disorder too?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
My mom was 15 when she had me. So, and my mom was one of those, Hell's Angel biker, chicks on the back of a bike type thing, and so,
My
um,
kind of girl.
she was a, she was a partier for sure. There you go.
Yeah,
I was
you're
like
fine.
I was like, I lost you for a minute. Um, so yeah, so unfortunately, there was just a lot of a trauma and a lot of abuse, and I was 13. I saw my stepfather. He died I watched him die in front of my eyes, and that was really traumatic and whatnot. And so, for me, like it just kind of led me into that little downhill spiral, from weed to, I wrecked an ATV at 16. I broke multiple bones. I spent, you know, a year and a half of physical therapy, 3 months in a wheelchair, all that. So, of course, fed all the
Wow.
that's where I was fed the opiates from.
How
So,
old were you when that happened, when you had the ATV accident?
I was 16.
And did you like break your back and your legs? Like,
I
can you tell us what happened?
Yeah. So it was the first day of summer break, unfortunately, the first day of summer break,
Damn,
and,
that sucks.
yeah, and I didn't have health insurance. I was living with my aunt and uncle, and, yeah, I'm from Arizona, so, like, there's places to ride all over the place. So back then there wasn't as many city roads, it was all desert out where we were living at. So anyways, but we wanted to go out and ride and whatnot. And so I just, riding with a couple friends, and unfortunately one stopped right in front of me, and I hit them going 60 miles an hour, like into a brick wall. And of course, I don't know why she stopped, but she just did a dead stop. And I didn't have enough time to get out the way. And so, anyways, I broke both arms, my collarbone, my pelvis, um, my wrists, my elbow. It was bad. I had, I was life flighted. They didn't know if I was going to make it. They actually had a chaplain in the room when my family got there. It was yeah, it was crazy. So I went through, 3 months in a wheelchair. My whole summer break, I was in a wheelchair, unfortunately. So
Wow.
when I go back to school, everyone's talking about what they did. I'm like, yeah, I almost died. Like, yeah, I spent the whole summer in a wheelchair.
What
But I
year
went
was this? What year
2000,
was it?
2005.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
guys think about back in 2005, remember how they used to just give us fucking pain pills? Like you could literally go to the doctor and be like, I want some Soma, some Hydros, and some Klonopin, and you could get a prescription. So how was your experience because you had a valid reason to have these medications? What was it like? Did they stack you up?
Oh, absolutely. Like I was, mind you, because I went through multiple surgeries and physical therapy for a year and a half and all that. So of course they're giving me as many as I want. And
Yeah.
and I'm a 16-year-old kid, so I don't really know anything other than weed and like beer, like I don't really know the game like that. So it wasn't until that just little did I know, and it wasn't until a few years later that I realized that's kind of like what opened it up. And so anyway, so yeah, and that's pretty much like what got me on opiates at the end of the day. And so what was the next question? I'm sorry. I
When
got
you no, you're
sidetracked.
fine. So when they were giving you the opiates, when you first took them at 16 years old,
Mhm.
did you have that like this is it, the aha kind of like I like this and I want to keep on doing this? Did you start abusing them right away or were you taking them as prescribed?
Yeah, so it was as prescribed in the very beginning. Of course, I'm a teenager, so I don't really know the whole fact of abusing it right away. So it was I'll tell you this, like I took it as prescribed, and by the time I was 18, I was against like I was against taking I did not want to take any opiates. Like I hated it. I hated the way it made me feel. And like if I ever went to the hospital, like I would tell them like do not give me any pain pills like whatsoever. I was against it 100%. And then I got hurt at work and I've always was against it not because I was addicted, but just because I didn't like the way it made me feel.
Uh-huh.
So, I remember I got hurt at work one time and the doctor was like, "Listen, I'm gonna give you here's the 10 milligram oxy." I'm like, "I really don't wanna take this." He goes, "I know, but you might, it might help you." And I'm like he goes, "Listen, take half of it, or take it, and if you want, I'll give you the other half, blah, blah, blah." And I remember taking it, and it was done. Like, that right there, every single thing came back to me, and I was like it was it was a wrap at that point.
What do you think changed? Do you think it's just that you had gotten older and you kind of like understood like the medication and how it was making you feel? Or did you like what, or was it like because you were dealing with something at that time in your life? Like, why do you think you didn't really get strung out when you were younger and you did,
Um
but you did when you got older?
Probably just because I really probably didn't understand it. Like,
Yeah.
I was always a weed, like, I could smoke all day long, weed all day long. Listen, I was cool with that. I didn't
Yeah.
care about the pills, I didn't care about nothing else. You give me some weed, I'm good. But I don't know, I really couldn't tell you, but I loved the way it made me felt. The way I felt, I felt that warm, melting feeling, and I was like, "Yo, like, wow, I've been refusing this the last few years, like, what the hell," type deal.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And I have an addictive again, I have an addictive personality. My mom has had substance abuse disorder. My dad had it. When I met my dad for the first time, I found out that, his side was full of it, just you name it, it was there. So I realized like I had it. But it never really hit me until I went back and I got that oxy that last time, and then it was like, wow, like, shit, why was I so scared to do this? I don't know.
Yeah. How did your addiction shift like once you started taking oxy
Yeah.
after your work accident? How quickly did it take for it to get out of control?
Um, Probably a few years. Like, I was on and like, even in the very beginning, like, taking the oxy, I was just kinda like, "I gotta turn this fan on, I'm hot in here." It was more of like I didn't even have like a withdrawal until like one day I didn't even know what the hell a withdrawal felt. I had runny nose in my eyes and all that. I'm like, why am I sick or what? And I was like, no, I was withdrawing. But it was a few years. It was a few years. And even then, like even through my whole addiction, probably to like the last year of my addiction, I was a functioning. I went to work. I had a full-time job. I was married. You know, I got kids. Like nobody other than my mom. And my mom really didn't even understand that I had a problem as much as I did. Because at the end of the day, you know, my mom would get pills from me, I would get pills from her type deal. And
Yeah.
so but she didn't know, like, how bad it was until I was in deep. But I was able to hold it down, like, my ex-wife, you know, like, she knew absolutely nothing, and I was able to fake it, like, 10 years, you know, before she really, you know, 10 to 12 years technically before she actually officially figured it out.
Would you is that because you were able to have like you had a supply from a physician, correct?
No, not at
Like
that point. I was already buying
okay.
off the street. I just
Okay.
had
So when
yeah.
did you go from so did you get cut off by your doctor? Did you get in trouble with the doctor or did you find yourself like over taking too many and running through your prescription so you had to supplement by going to the street?
Yeah, so essentially what it was, you know, I just would just once I decided to abuse it, I started taking it so much, and then, of course, I would call in for a refill, and they're like, "Well, you know, you're not due for this X amount of time," and then, you know, and then they were like, "Okay, we're gonna do it this one time," and then after that, like, I did it again, and they were like, "Yeah, listen, we can't prescribe this to you anymore," and so what I did at that point, this is when I knew that I had a problem, is when I started doctor shopping at the hospitals. You know,
Yeah.
I would travel for work. I was a service technician. I would travel every 2 weeks. I travel all over the country. So I would and this was before hospitals communicated with each other, you know, not
Right.
so I would literally go and I would just "Oh, I'm gonna be in this town tonight. Guess what I'm doing tonight? I'm going to the ER, seeing if I can get some Dilaudid to see if I can get some morphine." And I would play I literally would play the game. I knew exactly like, all right, I have to make up this excuse. I have to make up this symptom because they're gonna be thorough, you know, I mean, there'd be times like I would complain like a kidney stone, and I'm like, "Okay, cool, well, guess what? They're gonna give you Toradol for a kidney stone, so I gotta tell them I'm allergic to that." And then I'm like, "Okay, well, then they're gonna, like, test your urine." So I'd go into the bathroom, and I'd cut my finger, and I would drip a couple of drips of blood in there just to contaminate it, so when they did come back, they would be like, "Well, you had blood in your urine. It looks like you might have, you know, had one, but here you go. Here's 10 or 15 to get you through." And that's what
Yeah.
I did for like a couple years. I just traveled to different hospitals until I eventually got blacklisted from the hospitals because they eventually caught up with me.
Oh yeah, and that's when it's like, holy shit! Now what am I gonna do? Is
That's when shit hit the fan.
when they started doing the, I think they got, I don't know if they're called cures. I think it's called cures, but where the doctor can go on and he can look up your name and he can see any narcotic medication, basically any medication you're being prescribed from any doctor, anywhere, any state. And whenever they were able to start seeing what medications you're taking, all these, imagine having all these prescriptions coming from all these different places
Mm.
and then all of a sudden bam, you're cut off. Did you go to heroin or did you go to fentanyl or were you just buying pills off the street?
So it was I never okay, so I never touched heroin. It was It was more of buying oxys, like, oxy was like my DOC, like, that's what I loved the most before I went
Yeah.
to fentanyl, but it was like buying oxy, you know, I seen friends on heroin, I never wanted to be that one to, you know, do heroin, um, so, you know, like, fentanyl's any better, you know, but, like,
I
at
was
that
always
time
afraid of heroin. I thought
me
it was
too.
like a dirty, I'm going to keep it real. I thought it was like a junkie drug. You know what I mean? Like, and that if I did it, I was going to die immediately when I
Mhm.
did it. And
Yeah,
so I had this like because I've seen like Basketball Diaries with Leonardo DiCaprio,
yeah.
and that scared me. Like I, for the longest time, wouldn't try it. I was the same way. Roxy Codone, Roxy
Mm.
30s were my favorite. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it was all just oxys, you know, and it was, you know, whether I could get it, whether I could go to the hospital and make up an excuse to get a 3 or 4 day script, or whether it was just me buying some from my mom or buying some from my friend. But it wasn't until like I couldn't go to the hospitals anymore to get anything. My mom ended up getting hooked on heroin, so she got kicked off her pain management, so she couldn't get her prescriptions anymore. Um, and this was right when fentanyl started coming onto the scene with the blue inbox 30s. And at the time, I didn't really know what it was, and so, like, I worked with this guy, and I was like, "Yo, like, you know, hey, like, you gotta connect," and he's like, "Yeah," and so the first, like, 5 or 6 times of me getting the inbox, like, I was like, "Alright, cool, like, these are legit," and by that time, I never did it. I never shot up, and I never snorted it. I always just oral. But
Uh-huh.
I remember one day, you know, my buddy was just like, "Yo, why don't you crush that up and why don't you snort it?" And I was like, 'cause again, I was like you, I'm like, "No, that seems to be like that's junky, that's ghetto, like, I don't wanna do that," you
Yeah.
know? But I was in you know, mind you, like, I do suffer from pain. I got 2-foot rod in my hip, I got plates in my elbow and my wrist, like, I got a shit ton of metal. So, for me, I was in pain, and so I crushed it up, I snorted it, and I never, ever, ever, ever went back to any other way to doing it. But I didn't realize it was maybe about a month later that I found out that, like, it was actually fentanyl, and that was my worst fear. I tell you this, I was terrified because I knew it was going around, and it wasn't until I sold some from the same supply I was getting to somebody, and they hit me up later that night, and they're like, "You sold me fentanyl and fake pills," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "You know, I had to call an ambulance, OD, blah, 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 blah," and I was like, "No, like, I would never intentionally do that to you because I'm
Yeah.
afraid to do it myself." She goes, "No, no, this was it," and I was scared for, like, the first 2 or 3 days, I was terrified to find out that I had been taking fentanyl that whole time. However,
Yeah.
after I realized my tolerance and what I can handle, then I was just like, "Yo, I don't want anything else other than that."
Yep. Yep. Oh, I can totally relate to that because I had the same experience
Hi, guys.
with heroin. When I finally tried it and realized, oh, this is something I can do. Where here in Arkansas, it's like a smaller area than like Arizona and like the bigger cities. And so everything always comes here last. So, I got sober in 2015. And so the only time I ever did fentanyl was in fentanyl patches. I never have done fentanyl, illicit fentanyl off the street.
Right.
But anyway, so what would you say your rock bottom experience was in your addiction, and what catapulted you into making the decision to get sober and utilize plant medicine to do that?
Yeah, I wanna tell a story before I answer that.
Tell it.
But really quick, I wanna say hi to, I see my sisters on here and Hard Knocks and Jamie Tall and Cooley and all the guys from, over from, CPP. So thanks guys for hopping on and checking us out. So I
Hey,
just
and if
wanna
you see me looking down, I am just sharing the video and all
oh, you're
that kind
good.
of stuff. So I'm not
Yeah.
please don't
If
think I'm not listening because I am.
if you see me looking over, it's because 'cause I'm looking at the contact the comments, so
Okay,
but
cool.
anyway, so I want to share so this is the story I wanted to share. So, I'm going to share the story about how I got my appendix taken out when I shouldn't have got it taken out due to me doctor shopping. So,
That's
um
fucking hardcore. Share that shit.
So in the very beginning, I always used appendicitis as a symptom. As a symptom, I researched it. I narrowed it down to the T. Like I was like, all right, I know everything the doctor's gonna say. Like I tell you, when I did my research, like I would read doctors' reports. Like I would do this whole thing, so I knew exactly what to say. The whole game. So used to be like my thing. I would go to the hospitals and I would claim, you know, I wouldn't say appendicitis, but I would claim every symptom of it. And when they push in and let out, and I'm yelling and this, that, and the third. And um, so for the first like maybe, I don't know, 7, 8 times, they would just be like, "There's nothing there." Like, they do the ultrasound. Well, of course, you know, they're gonna shoot me up with pain meds, you know, like so when I say I never shot up, I never personally shot up. Um, I always had a doctor do it. So, I just never physically could allow myself to do it. So with that being said, though, they would, give me, whether it be, fentanyl or Dilaudid or morphine. Dilaudid was my favorite out of everything, before the fentanyl. But anyway, so like after 10 times, after 10 times of going to probably the same hospital, doctor comes in one day. I'm in the ER, and he goes, "All right, we're gonna send you to, we're gonna we're gonna admit you, and you're gonna go to surgery tomorrow to get your appendix removed." And I'm like, "What? Really?" Like, I was shocked. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you've been here like 10 times for the same thing, and every time we're not finding anything. So there has to be an underlying issue. So we're just gonna go ahead and take your appendix out." So the next day I went to surgery and I got my appendix removed, and I didn't even need to, but like that was dedication right there.
Dedication. I had a girlfriend that used to go to the dentist and get her teeth pulled, dude. Literally. She had all these teeth pulled for no reason. And that is hardcore dedication to the craft, to getting what you need to get when you need to get it. So
Oh,
it
it
didn't
was
cause anything, like you don't, it's okay that you don't have it, right? It didn't
yeah,
like
you
give
don't
you any problems.
no, you don't need your appendix at all. So, it was just one of those things. And so it's funny because we had Dr. Taylor Nichols on the podcast, and he's popping on TikTok, and he's in ER and addiction physician. And I told him that story, and yeah, he goes, when they go in take your appendix out, they know right then and there that there was nothing wrong with your appendix. And I was like, yeah, probably, but they never told me anything after that. And at the end of the day, like, what did I end up getting? Like 10 days worth
I
of
know.
oxy that I used in 2? Like, come on, really? Like, and that was the thing. Like, I'm like, I just put myself through a damn operation for 2 days worth of pills. Like, are
Had
you
a
serious?
whole internal organ taken out of your body
Like,
to get drugs.
oh,
But that's how desperate we are, and that's how low, and that's how addiction, when you're in that, when you're in the middle of your addiction and it feels like there's no other way out, like that seems like a completely logical act to do. Get my
yeah,
appendix taken out. You know what I mean?
right,
It's a means. It means to an end. You know.
right. Um,
Was
it
that
was
like your rock bottom experience? I
no,
don't even like to use the word rock bottom, because I mean, not, you don't have to have a rock bottom, you guys. Like,
right,
you can get sober anytime you want to, but I use it for lack of a better term.
right.
What was your rock bottom experience that really made you want to get sober, or made you realize you had to get sober?
So fast forward like 7, 8 years after that incident happened. I just I got in I have to watch some of the words I say right now. So
Okay, you're fine.
I got involved with some people that I shouldn't have. And basically at the end of the day, um they ended up becoming my personal supply. They ended up becoming, just if I needed something, that's where I would go.
Yeah.
And I got wrapped up in things that I didn't want to, but it was more like wrong time, wrong place type stuff. And so incidences, again, like before, I used to be able to. I shared this, but I kind of explained to you the situation. So,
Yeah.
um, so I was involved in some things that I didn't want to be involved in, and I didn't have a choice. And after some traumatic experiences with that, I realized, I had to get my shit together because I would be the next one to end up 6 feet under.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be because of the drugs. So at the end of the day, yeah, that's like what it was. Like I went from having a job, perfect. Like I went my whole entire 95% of my addiction, I went through perfect. Nobody knew a thing, nothing, like, and whatsoever. And then I got to the end where I got really sloppy to where I just started letting things, I just dropped the ball. I ended up, going from being on top, dealing this, that, and the third, to where I'm owing plugs money. And now I'm like having to sign over titles to my vehicles and this, just to settle up on my debts and whatnot. And how did I even get here? Like, I remember I had a pistol that I had, and I'm like, I went to my dealer and I'm like, yo, what can I get for this? I got like 5 pills that I used in like couple hours, you know? I was like, "What the hell?" So,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it was just like, wow, like, I'm that low, like, I started pawning all of my tools, you know, like, you name it, I did it. I went to not having a job. I was just completely underwater, and I was trying to make it work, and I just could not do it for the life of me, because I had just got so desperate, because once you hit that fentanyl, like, there's nothing else that is going to at least for me, that is going to satisfy, you know, like, I could take fentanyl and I can go to the hospital and get shot up with morphine, and it's probably not gonna touch me. I could probably still be in withdrawal because of that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, when Brianna was on with you, you know, and I was watching, like, you got y she hit the nail on the head with withdrawal from fentanyl, like, I would withdraw off 2.5 hours, I was already withdrawing. Like,
That's wild to me.
it
Like
was that fast.
I have no experience, but I know that, working with Dr. B, we have patients that come in and they tell me all the time that they're sick, like, and the sickness comes on so quick. And why does it do that? Like, why is it so? Is it why is this? It's this is illicit fentanyl is a lot different than, like, I guess, like, I feel like heroin
Mm.
lasted longer than that. Opioids, like prescription opioids, lasted longer than that, at least 4 hours.
It's just it's your body processes it so much faster. Yeah.
Metabolism. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and mind you, I'm like a buck 55, you know, like for
Yeah.
me, I go through it real quick, but your body, you know, just that's what it does, and it's just like, yo, like, and I was surprised too, but I would have to snort a 30 every 2 hours just to stay focused on my day. And mind you now, and if it was like 4 hours and I didn't have nothing, like
In pain.
I was like down and out. Um, and so, yeah, so like Lily Rose said, from what I heard, it's the opioid receptors. It's like being sick with the flu, but 20 times worse is what my brother had told me. Absolutely. And then my sister said that, you know, she said my baby daddy was bad on them and he always had to be high and acted crazy because he goes through them quick. 100%. That's 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 the way that for some reason that's just the way that it worked. Like, I don't know how they, you know, they come up with with this chemical compound of when they're pressing these things, but I tell you, like, it's crazy.
I
You
know
know,
they look just like M30s. Like, it's
yeah,
wild how um and I was online, this is probably like a year or two ago. I was on, like, Alibaba or something like that, and they literally sell these pill presses that you could, and people could just go online and buy them and
mm,
press their own pills. And so that's why it's so easy for them to mimic, like, M30s and all the different kinds of pills, because it's so accessible to get the presses and stuff. It's so easy to
yeah.
find them online and just purchase them.
Well, and then too, it's like you knew when they were coming from Mexico, and then you knew when somebody was in their damn bedroom high as a kite because the color's off, the press is off. Like, you're just like, really, like, come on, like, if you guys are gonna do this, like, come on, like, you know, like it was sloppy. So I literally would stay away from it. You know, like, I would stay if I got anything that was off color than what I'm used to.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't even wanna mess with that because I was already, like, risking 50-50. I'm gonna snort one of these, and I'm gonna go to sleep, and I'm not gonna wake back up ever again. You know, and I was already worried about that, but, it's obviously wasn't enough for me to stop because as many you know, that the EMTs and all that shit, they always used to tell me, like, "Yo, you know, you're gonna go to sleep one day, and you're not gonna wake back up." And I'm like, first I'm like, "Wow, that's wild," and then I'm like, "Alright, let's do it again."
Wow. You don't, and sorry, my dog was chewing on this. Y'all, you don't
Over.
know how much fentanyl is in each pill. So, like, you could do one pill one day and get a different, or get another one a couple hours later that has, like, a totally different potency than the one you did before that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's
It's
the thing because there's no way to regulate that shit. There's no way to regulate that. So you don't have no clue what the hell you're getting. You can get something that is half and you can get something that's 99%. It just, you never know. And that's the crazy thing about that. That's why I don't even consider fentanyl as an overdose. It's a poisoning. It's illicit fentanyl
Yeah.
poisoning. I don't really correct people when they say overdose because I get it, but it's a poisoning. It really is. At the end of the day, like, you're fucking poisoning your system. Anyway,
Come
so
here,
for
bro.
me, like, yeah, so that was my rock bottom, was just after I finally signed titles over and I realized how much in debt that I was in. And I tried for about 2 months to make it past, to get sober in my hometown. And I would never make it past 24 hours. I would either wake up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. with no socks and pajamas, and I would jump in the car and I would steal the keys. And I would, like, it got so bad that my ex-wife like had to hide the keys at night and whatnot, because and money and all that, because I'd show up in my dealer's house at 3 o'clock in the morning, pounding on his window. And
Yeah.
so when that happened and my rock bottom I was like, listen, we're selling everything that we own, and we're going to. I pretty much threw a dart at a map, see where it landed. It landed on Texas, and we're like, all right, that's where we're going, and that's kind of what happened.
Is that why your relationship with your ex-wife dissolved, was because of addiction?
No, no, no,
No?
no, that was some personal issues, but at the end of the day, like, she was really naive to it. She never really understood it. So I mean, like, I remember one day before, and I found this out like later after I was sober, but like, I remember like I had a bunch of pills, blues in my pocket and my jacket, and like she reached in my jacket and she pulled them out, she looked down, she put them away, and she thought they were Tylenol or something like that. So she never
Wow,
really
she was
knew.
very naive.
Yeah, she never
Very
really
naive.
knew what they were. So, um, so of course, I like, she stood by my side, like, she really did ride it down, but it was, um, yeah, it was just someone, we just had such a toxic relationship. We were only together because of our kids and different things like that. So at the end of the day, we have a much better relationship now, since we've been divorced and whatnot. But she was really naive. She didn't really understand it. But she knew that it was obviously serious enough that we had to pack up and move, to for me to survive. Because if not, I would have died.
I
100%.
watch a channel on YouTube that is like based out in Arizona, and it shows, what is it called?
It's called Tales from the
Yeah, yes, and they're
Tales from the
people,
Streets.
yes, people that are out, just stuck out there in Phoenix and on the streets of Arizona, and almost every single person that he interviews is on blues, and they're like, I've been out here for 10 years stuck on
Yeah.
blues. It makes me so
Yeah.
fucking sad.
I've been following him for a long time. I'm trying to get him on the podcast actually. So, but I've been following him for a hot minute, but he
Yeah.
was crazy. But like, I'd say 99% of the people he interviews is on blues. So
Yeah.
for me, when I decided to get off the fentanyl,
Yeah.
I didn't know what else was going to be the next step. But I always knew of Kratom. I never really took it, but I always knew of it. So for me, I was like, listen, let me try Kratom. Like, let me see if that's something that's going to help still hit my receptors, but help me transition, then let me try it. And it saved my life 100%. I saw a couple comments that where they said Kratom saved their lives. 100% saved my life. I will tell you that.
Did you taper off of the fentanyl and onto kratom, or did you go into a detox? Did you go cold turkey off fentanyl? Tell us about the process.
Yeah, so I cold turkeyed at home. To about week and a half in a dark room with the lights off. Everything locked away, had no access to a car, to a phone, to nothing. And I pretty much I knew like this was it. I was like, yo, I'm done. Like, I can't do this, especially after what I had experienced prior to that, the situation. I was like, I'm done. Like, there ain't nothing more, no amount of drug, no amount of money, no amount of this, no amount of that. Um, at the end of the day, I can't do it. Like I'm done. So I detoxed 100% at home. I remember, I think I was 3 or 4 days in, I went to the outpatient clinic and I told them, and I was like, "Listen, I'm coming off fentanyl, like, I'm taking some kratom in the meantime, blah, blah, blah." I don't really know what I'm here for. I'm just trying to be here for support. And they wanted me to get on methadone. And I was really leery about that because I knew the whole deal with methadone and Suboxone and all that. And that like wasn't, I was like, that wasn't my cup of tea. Um, I don't knock it. It just wasn't for me personally. But I remember like I almost tried the methadone. I went through the whole process. I filled out my paperwork. I was in line to dose, walked up there, and I was the next person to dose. And I turned around and I walked out and I said, "No, I can't do this." And I tell
So,
you,
okay,
it was horrible
which
to detox. Horrible.
yeah, I don't hate you for not wanting to get on methadone. I don't blame you for not wanting to get on any kind of medication assisted treatment, like especially because there's a lot of like really like stigmatizing like horror stories and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Um, so, but you had already detoxed him off of fentanyl, and so what I guess what I'm trying to ask is why did you go to kratom if you had completely come off fentanyl? What was it, because you were struggling with pain as well and you wanted to use it as like a maintenance, kind of like I use Suboxone for maintenance to help me with triggers and cravings. Is that what you wanted to do with kratom, or was it more because you had chronic pain?
It was the dual side. I don't know. Is that me or you?
What?
That screeching in my ear.
Oh, I don't hear it at all. Do you hear it? Is it still doing it?
No, only when I talk. Mute your mic real quick. I want to see. Test, test, test. Yeah, see, it's not doing it now, but when your mic is unmuted, I don't know, it was feedback. So at the end of the day, so I did it for both. So I did it because A, I had pain and I wanted something to manage it with, but B, um, I also I'm afraid of the unknown. Like I'm a drug addict. I've been on something for on and off for 15 years, blah, blah, blah. Like this whole idea of me being abstinence on absolutely nothing, I'll tell you, was terrifying. 100%. I didn't know what to expect. So for me, I was just like, all right, I'm going to take it because I know it's going to help keep me level mentally. But then B, I'm going to take it because I have legit pain and I have all these pain, these rods and different things in my plates and screws and all that shit. So that's essentially why I took it. And yeah,
Well, okay. When you got, so how do you go about? Because a lot of people are going to watch this and maybe they are somebody who doesn't want to go the pharmaceutical route. They don't want to get involved on methadone or Suboxone. And I talk so much about Suboxone because that's what I did. If somebody is wanting to utilize kratom, how do they know that they're getting safe supply of kratom? Do you have any tips, or do you know like where not to go get kratom and versus where to get kratom? Can you tell us about
yeah,
that?
yeah. So for one, always find a reputable distributor. Don't go into the so kratom now is so widespread that you can go into the gas station and buy it from the counter. You know, don't do that. Don't do that. Um, I've been on kratom for 5.5 years, ever since I quit fentanyl. Maybe I know that I'm ready to be off of it, and that's the next journey for me personally is to taper off of it. But I've been through every strain you can imagine, all the vendors, different things like that. 100%. Um, if it's too cheap online and all that, like it's there for a reason. I've done the whole, ooh, let me go get a kilo for $90, blah blah blah. Um, yeah, Bliss, I'll answer some at the end. Um, but it was like, oh, $90 for a kilo, and there I go. I spend $90. I get it in the mail. It's a reputable vendor, and guess what? It's absolute fucking dirt. And now I'm sick and I'm puking my brains out because again, I will be honest and transparent. You can and will have withdrawals from kratom if you take it as a long-term maintenance medication. I'm sorry, but you will. Just like Suboxone and methadone and all that.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
just
want to
the
make
facts.
it's a fact. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's what it is. And people that are watching and listening at the end of the day, listen, you can think what you want, you can call it what you want, but at the end of the day, um, it binds to those receptors and So when you feed your mind these receptors all the time and you get off of it, naturally you're going to withdraw. So, I was sick and I was sick. And then I went to an actual, I was like, is this the Kratom or like, what is it? Is the Kratom bad? I went down, I picked one up, just a small little sample at a reputable shop, and boom, I was instantly better. So I knew I had gotten a whole bad thing of Kratom. So go, uh, make sure they're lab tested. A lot of reputable vendors will have on there that they've been organically lab tested and this, that, and the third. That's the biggest thing. Just don't go to a gas station and buy it. I'm telling you, please,
That's
for the love
why
of
I
God.
was such a that's why for the longest time I was such a hard ass about people utilizing kratom, because I had people coming to me and telling me that they were buying these shots from
Yeah.
gas stations. And there's actually a lady that I forget her name, but her loved one actually was drinking those shots, copious amounts of those shots, and and had overdosed from it. I'm pretty sure it was just those shots, but those shots are like souped up with something else. So how do you like so I have a couple of people that I know that are online vendors,
Mm.
and they're people. I don't utilize Kratom myself, but I have these online vendor connections, because I have people that reach out to me all the time, and I want to be able to say, hey, I don't want you to go to the gas station and buy those shots, because it can make you really, really sick. And I don't want nothing bad to happen to anybody, because kratom is not regulated. It's like the wild, wild west. And there's people out there that want to make money, and
Mm.
they will buy kratom and open up a shop and put whatever they want to put in it, and not care about your well-being and your safety. And so how do you
Just like
find
fentanyl dealers.
reputable yeah. How do you find a reputable vendor online? How do you like? Do they have certificates? Like, how do you know if they're good or not? Do you know?
So I'll be the first to say this. I should have said this in the very beginning. I'm not a doctor. I don't know every single thing about this. The only thing I know is my personal experience. So with that being said, I don't take the extracts. I don't take the shots. I stick to straight powder. Um but you can go online and there's all kinds of like forums and stuff where you can do your research and they'll actually tell you, multiple forums will list and they'll tell you like reputable vendors that you can find online. So, it's not like again, I see somebody, saying like Twitter has awesome kratom community. There's different things. Like it's not you have online, you have like Twitter, you have Facebook, you have different kratom communities that will definitely help you. I only know what worked for me and like what I found. But for me at the end of the day, like I'm very picky when it comes to kratom, very, very, very picky. I'm very leery about it. And I've actually made some good relationships with people in the area, that have shops and they're like, all right, listen, you know what? Here, let me give you a sample. If you like it, then cool, we can work something out because I order it by the kilos. Like it's more cost
So,
effective for me to order it by a kilo.
for people who don't even know what we're talking about, like, what do you mean it comes in powders or it comes in this? Like, what all forms does it come in?
Yeah. So if you don't even know what kratom is, it's an herbal leaf. And it comes from, like Southeast Asia, stuff like that. It's off the root of a coffee family, blah 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 type deal. And so what it is you can make tea out of it. So you can actually take the leaves and you can boil it down into a tea. You can take powder form, which me is a powder, which I do is I take orange juice or something. And, some people they use milk, whatever, just whatever. I use orange juice and I take this scoop and I drop it in, I shake it up and I drink it. So that's what I do. And then there's capsules, which at the end of the day, capsules is personally, I find it more expensive to do is the capsules, especially because it's just you're only getting like half a gram in a capsule. And when someone's taking, 10 grams at a time, like you can only imagine how
That's a
many
lot of
capsules.
capsules.
Yeah, you gotta take 20 of those bad boys at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
and so there's different so there's the forms, and then of course, and then they have these things where in the shops now, this is where those extracts come in, where those shots are, and they're supposed to be like enhanced. And I don't fuck with any of that just because I don't really know if I trust that. That's just me personally. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so like I said, and then there's different strains. So you got like a red strain, which is going to be more of like a relaxing strain. It's going to help with your muscles. Then you got a white strain, which is, it's more of an upper. It's going to help you focus,
White for flight.
Yeah,
White for flight.
and
That's
then
what
you have
somebody
a
told me.
then you have a green, which is kind of a mixture of both. And nowadays, there's all over the place. Like at the end of the day, I believe you have your true red, white, and green. But shit, you got so many kratom vendors now. You go and there's like, oh, there's 50 different types, and you're just like, well, which one's which? So I really don't understand like that aspect of it. But then you got like train wreck, which is all of them mixed together. So it's really like kind of like weed. Like weed has all these different strains to help with different
Yeah.
things. Like that's kind of like with kratom. Like there's different strains to help for different symptoms. But for me, I can only speak on what helps for me personally.
And kratom works on the same mu receptors that an opioid would. So for you, kratom gives you pain relief as
Yes,
well, correct?
absolutely, 100%. Yep.
Like when you take it, what would you say it was like comparable to? Like if you were, I don't know how to explain. I'm not trying to compare it to like it's nothing compared to fentanyl or heroin or
Right.
anything like that. But it's like, is it an immediate effect or does it something that comes over and kicks in, 20, 30 minutes later? Like
Yeah, like
how does it?
within 20, 30 minutes, like I've felt it as quick as 5, 10 minutes, and then I've felt it in quick as an hour, as long as an hour. It just depends. But like as you get older and your tolerance becomes more and more, like in the very beginning, I used to be able to take kratom and I could sit down and I could melt into my chair and it would just take all of my pain away. Now, I'll be straight with you. I still use it for pain relief, but I also use it. I have to keep myself level because I've been on it for so long. Nowadays, I really don't ever get an effect from it. I
Because you
don't.
built a
It just
tolerance up to
it
it. You need to take a tolerance
absolutely.
break.
But if I take a tolerance break, I'm gonna withdraw, and I don't. Everyone that knows me knows I'm a pussy and I'm a bitch when it comes to throwing up and diarrhea. Listen, Brianna gave me the stomach bug Tuesday. I was puking
Yeah.
all day long, and I was like, "Listen, this is I can never go back to using drugs because I can't ever deal with this, with these withdrawal effects ever again." And that's what I compared it to. And I saw somebody mention in the comments, like there's been research where people that use it on a daily basis, there has been some people where they actually have very minimal effects on the withdrawal. Not saying you're not going to withdraw, but they have minimal effects. And then there's others that have full blown withdrawals. Guess what? I'm the person that has a full blown withdrawal effect. So I know how it's going to affect me. So if I take a tolerance break, I'm going to be sick. I might as well just fucking quit it all in general.
That's how I feel about people ask me, why have you been on Suboxone for 8.5 years? Because I don't want, honestly, straight up, I'm not, I don't want to deal with coming off right now.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. That in the next year or two, after I lose this weight and I become a whole different person, y'all are not even going to be able to recognize me. Just wait and see. Um, then I will think about. Then I'm going to try to taper off or come off Suboxone because I'm just like on a really small amount. But I hear you are the same. You're thinking like I am. Like that's something maybe in the next couple of years because we're at a point in our sobriety where we're not like fiending for dope anymore. We
Right.
don't have like issues like family issues. We don't have chaos and drama going on in our lives.
Yeah.
We are in a good place where we're not like using the medication and the plant medicine because we need to have it to survive anymore. It's just something that helps us and benefits us on our journey. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I could tell you I've been done. Like, I know that I've been done. I've been done for a few years now. I'll tell you
Yeah,
100%. Like, when I
same.
got on Kratom, it was only supposed to be for, like, 6 months to a year, and that was just to help get my receptors to heal and this, that, and the third. But then, I moved out of state, and I was still afraid of the unknown. How am I gonna act? Like, how if I get off of this, like, am I gonna go back to this on the street? Like I was afraid. I straight up. I'll be honest with you. So
Yeah, fear. Yeah.
me being afraid in the unknown, like I just stayed on it. Like, yeah, it was helping me. It was legitimately helping me with pain and whatnot. But I got to a point where I was just like, listen, I'm done. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not robbing people. I'm not stealing money. I'm not, losing, calling out sick, losing my job. Like I'm not doing anything, you know. So if the kratom helps me from snorting a fentanyl, and snorting a 30, then so be it. If it helps
Oh,
somebody from
100%.
from, s
100%.
putting a needle in their arm, then so be it. Everybody has their right to opinion. I get that 100%, and I don't knock anybody that has a different opinion. I have multiple friends that are completely against kratom, 100%, but it's for them personally. It's not for everybody widespread across the board. But we have a mutual understanding that we know that what works for me isn't gonna work for you, and what works for you isn't gonna work for her. Um, why the hell do we gotta shame people for it? Like, really, why do we gotta knock people down instead of just saying, "Okay, cool, listen, you take it for this. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's cool, like, that's my opinion, and guess what? I'm looking at you be like, I respect your opinion.
It's a lack of
You have a right."
understanding.
Yeah, and
Is
exactly,
what it is. It's a lack of understanding. And I want to say something to Sarah. Sarah says, I feel like as an addict in recovery, that if it's not given in a controlled environment, it gets abused. So I wanted to tell you something, Sarah. When I first started taking Suboxone, prescribed to me by my doctor, I was overtaking my medication. You can abuse medication, you can abuse plant medicine in a non-controlled or controlled environment. It doesn't matter. If you're going to abuse something, you're going to abuse it no matter what. I used to overtake my Suboxone the first 2 years I was on Suboxone, and I would run out early. And I would have to call my doctor and finally had to get honest with him and tell him, hey, doc, I'm taking 4 more milligrams every day and I'm running out early. And he said, why didn't you tell me that, Nicole? Let's fix that. Let's write you the 4 more milligrams. And I went from 8 milligrams to 12 milligrams. And that's where I stayed at for 4 years after that. I didn't realize, oh, I can just be honest and let him know that I'm taking the extra milligrams, right? And so it doesn't have to be a controlled. And I wanted to ask you, Jared, being somebody that struggles with addiction, when you started utilizing kratom, how did you find your right dose, and how did you learn how to control your intake and not abuse kratom? Because we all, if you say that you've never overtaken a medication or did this or that, you're a damn liar. From that, a
Absolutely.
lie from the pit of fucking hell.
Yeah.
And you got to experiment to get to that point. So,
Yeah,
how did you learn what a good dose for was for you, and how did you get to the point where you were taking, a consistent,
right.
regular dose, just like if you were prescribed it by the doctor?
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, I could tell you 100% after 5.5 years, I definitely have overtook it at times, and I will be the first to admit that. So, for me, personally, there's there's signs and symptoms of, like, when someone overtakes a medication. So, for kratom, it's gonna be dizzy, lightheaded, you're gonna vomiting, there's different tales that will tell you that you're overtaking something. So for me, like, that was it. Like, I know, so it was like gauging my dose. Okay, here's 1 scoop, trying it. All right, what do I feel? Okay, here's 2 scoops. What do I feel? Here's three. Oh shit, three just made me puke my brains out. Let me go back down to two. Okay. All right. Now let's experiment a little bit more. All right, let me try three, maybe. And I've done that before. Listen, I've had where I can do 3 or 4 scoops on one strain, but then I move to another strain that's more potent, and I can only take half of that. And so it's learning. It's a trial and error, just like everything else. I've had my fair share of throwing up because I'm being lightheaded and dizzy because I've taken it. Oh shit, that was way too high of a dose. Um, and I will be honest too. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't even now, like, if I take a dose, sometimes I'll be straight with you. Sometimes it's a habit. Like, I'm just fucking bored. So here, I'll take it.
I can
It's
totally relate to that.
I'm not gonna lie to you and say no, I take it morning, noon, and night. Like, no, like, a lot of times it's pretty structured. However, um, I could be sitting here and be like, damn, you know what? I'm bored. And guess what? I'm just gonna make me a bottle real quick and I'm just gonna drink it. And Well,
It's
I
called
didn't.
harm reduction. It's
Then I
called
had.
your boredom could lead you to fentanyl, but instead you have this plant medicine that you can bridge the gap and you use that in place of doing a negative behavior like going out and going and using fentanyl.
But on the flip side of that, I have to recognize I am an addict and I have an addict mentality. So I have to watch myself when it comes to that.
Yeah,
So I'm not doing that and creating a pattern. If you're doing it every now and then, okay, cool. Like I said, sorry. But if you start doing it every single time, then you know, like, okay, whoa, I'm getting in this bad pattern. Like, okay, that now my addiction is leading me to where I'm just taking it when I don't need to do it. But
right.
when you're experimenting and different things like that, that's just the way it is. So that's
And
how it is for me.
a lot of people have this experience with Suboxone where they become they say, "Oh, Nicole, I couldn't do Suboxone because I was addicted to it." And I'm like, "What?" But I'm like, "You know what? That's how I was when I took methadone. I would literally take copious amounts. I would mix it with Xanax. I was just a shit show, right? And so I had to find Suboxone. Didn't even want to give it a try because I thought that it was going to be the same experience as I had with methadone and me abusing it, right? And so I just want people that are in the comments to hear us talking about this because we have been sold a lie, you guys. Okay, we have all been sold a lie for the past 100 years that abstinence was the only way for us to get sober. We have been sold a lie that once we are addicts, we will always be addicts and we will never be able to escape the grips of addiction. And that is all fucking lies from the pit of hell. You can overcome and take your power back and put this all behind you. Your addiction doesn't have to run your life. You can take medication like Suboxone. You could take plant medicine like Kratom, medical marijuana. You can take methadone. You can take anxiety medication if you need to, as prescribed in a therapeutic dose. You just have to take your power back because we've been giving our power over to drugs and alcohol for so long. It become a working part of our mind. It became a habit of our lives. And so when we're leaning into that habit, and we start telling ourselves we can't live without it, we're powerless, we're always going to be addicted. No, that's what they want you to believe because as long as you believe that, you're a forever customer within these treatment centers and rehabs,
Yeah.
recycling through
Well, and
all
that's
the
the
time.
thing. Like doctors these days, some of them don't even care. They just want the check. They just want the insurance to pay, you know? And so it's very like kratom is completely different than, a lot of times if you go to a doctor and you tell your primary, I want to create a treatment plan to get off of kratom, they're going to look at you and be like, "Fuck's kratom?" I've had doctors look at me and be like, "I have no clue what this is." So it's different than Suboxone and methadone and this, that, and the third, you know. So when it comes to like Suboxone and methadone, you go in like they want to keep you on because they want that check. With kratom, the reason the FDA doesn't want to approve it and they don't want to regulate and they want to make it illegal and this, that, and the third is because it's truly helping people, regardless of what people think. It's helping people. I think it's called what on Netflix, The Miracle Plant, and it's about kratom. And it's all about how it's just like what we're talking about. Its properties, how it's helped people, this, that, and the third. And they want to make it illegal because they can't capitalize off of it. And just like the whole thing with the weed and all that, like, oh, we're not gonna, we didn't want to do medical marijuana for the longest time because big pharma can't put $1 million in their pocket. And it's shit like that. And then it's misinformation that gets spread. I've done over 5.5 years, so much fucking research. I could probably write a book on it, on kratom at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, again, everybody's recovery is different. Okay. I take it. You don't have to, and just different things. I choose. That's what keeps me level. That's what keeps me level headed. Um, I get in arguments with people all day long about it. Oh, you're not sober, this, that, and the third. And the way that I look at it is I respect your opinion, but that's your opinion. But in my mind, I'm like, fuck you, because, who are you to say what I am and what I'm not? Because just as much as you are vocally opening up and you're talking to me, vocaling your opinion, I have the same right to do the same as myself. So for me, I just learned to not listen to people because everybody's gonna have an opinion about something. Everyone's gonna have something negative to say. Everyone's gonna fucking talk. And I'm just like, all right. And if you talking helps you feel better about yourself at the end of the day, then be my guest. Talk all you want. But it ain't gonna change me. I could sleep at night knowing I'm perfectly fine because I know what works for me.
So at the end of the day, I had to do the same thing because when I first started sharing about being on Suboxone, people laughed at me. People laughed at me, told me I might as well be on heroin still, might as well be shooting dope still. And so I think it's so crazy how in the recovery community for so many years, we have all been taught that we can't trust ourselves. Okay. We can't trust ourselves because our experience with, whatever drug or choice we were struggling with in addiction with. But actually, what's best for you. And when you can learn what's best for you, then and you can start trusting yourself again, utilizing plant medicine, utilizing psychedelics, utilizing medication assisted treatment can change your life for the better. I know people out here that were abstinent for many, many years and they were sold this lie that that was the only way. And if they didn't do it that way, then they were not in recovery. Do you know how alienating that is to feel like the way that you are saving your life and what's helping benefit you is not accepted by your peers? It's the worst feeling in the whole wide world. I know you can
Yeah,
relate. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely. Well,
And
especially doing the podcast, and you get to hear all these different opinions and views from everybody, and I get it, and not every like you said, Matt Keegan has become one of my not best friend, but one of my really good friends. And Matt, he relapsed on Kratom. He was very vocal about his relapse being on Kratom. He didn't go out though and knock everybody that on Kratom, saying, he that you're relapsing, but and so he made a post on it, and that shit got like 4 million views, and people were just trashing the shit out of him about it. But then it was like, he goes, "Where did I say that I was knocking it?" He goes, "I just said I look at it personally as a relapse." So he's a really good friend of mine, and we have two completely different opinions on it. But we're really good friends, and we can have a healthy debate over it. Why
as
does
long
everyone
as you're
gotta?
not using kratom to escape reality,
Yeah,
then I believe that's recovery. I believe when we're using a substance to not be present and to escape our feelings and to not deal with life, that's what I feel like is the problem. And so if you're using kratom or whatever you're using in a therapeutic way and you're present and able to be a functioning person and happy and thriving, then nobody should really, it shouldn't matter. Nobody should care about what you're doing for you to stay sober.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. Sorry, I was looking at some of these comments because I know people were asking questions. I know that, hold on, let me find her name really quick.
Right. Drugs are not bad. Jay
Yeah,
says the fact it's taught that drugs are inherently bad is preposterous. Absolutely 100%. Drugs are not the problem. It's it's our intake of them. It's our lack of self-control and discipline. Just like
yeah,
this is what really woke me up, you guys, was realizing that I had the same issues, food and sugar. So it's not just drugs. It's me. I'm the problem.
right?
Honey, I can get addicted to anything. Okay. Anything. Put it in front of me if it's good and I like the way it makes me feel. If it tastes good, looks good, smells good, and makes me
Yeah,
feel good, honey, I'll be addicted to it.
right, right. Bliss Chris, I know that you said earlier you had a question for me. Go ahead and put it in, but I wanted to answer somebody's comment. Matt Morrill said, I am on MAT. Currently, I'm on a dosage reducing plan to get to a point where I can take a couple of days off with nothing and do the sublocade shot. Can you please tell me what kratom is best to use for the times when I may need something? And I am not a doctor. I will tell you that again. I cannot. I can only tell you what worked for me, and I never was on Sublocade and MAT, and I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I do know it's trial and error, and it's going to be trying it. And it depends, like okay, go back to again, red is going to be for pain, relaxation and pain. White's going to be for a little bit more energy and focus, and green's going to be a mixture of both. So you just kind of figure out what you're looking to accomplish, and you can always inbox me 100%, and I can help you 100% more as well. I'm just going based off the top of my head.
How did you find a space for yourself in recovery with Kratom? Do you have like, is there like meetings for people that utilize Kratom? Is there like a support groups? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm
do you
sure
do
there
any of that
is.
kind of stuff?
I'm sure there is, but I don't do it. Um, I am sure there is 100%. There's communities, like somebody was saying, Twitter and Facebook. I know there is communities out there. Meetings, I don't know. Maybe there is. But
I
I don't
wonder. I'll
know.
have to look into it. I
I mean,
know
I'm
that
sure there
Mara.
probably is.
Yeah, I know Mara is Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous. They're like all encompassing. They support plant medicine. So I know that they accept people there. So if any of you guys are utilizing Kratom or any kind of plant medicine and you're like wanting to be in a part of a fellowship or check out Mara, Mara. They're here on Facebook. They have their own Facebook account. It's literally Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous. It says Mara in blue and it's like a little triangle on their it's like like diamond on their profile. If y'all, I'll send it to you if you message me if any of you guys are looking for support and utilizing plant medicine, just so you know.
Yeah, and I am going to start branching out into a new thing. Nicole over here helped give me some inspiration on some stuff. So on our TikTok, we're gonna start doing some videos on Kratom and different things. So we're gonna start doing some educational videos and whatnot. So definitely go over to their TikTok, the Blaklist podcast, check it out. But we are gonna be doing some videos that are gonna be on that. And I think I'm gonna start doing that just across the board because this is good, like this is really, really good, Bliss Chris said, "Okay, Jared, are you okay with sharing your dose and how many times a day do you take it?" Yeah, yeah, I'll share it with you. So I take about 10 grams at a time. So 3 to 5 are standard for beginning, for people beginning. Um, eh, in Kratom, using it, less is always more. If you think about it, less is always more. Um, I've cut down. So I have been as high as 20 grams at a time. And I cut down. So now I'm down to 10 grams at a time when I do it. And I'll probably do it probably like 4 to 6 hours roughly. There's times
That
I can,
shit tastes so bad. I've tried it one time,
that's
Jared,
why,
and that it is the disgusting. It tastes like
that's why I use orange
monkey
juice.
piss.
I will tell you this, never take it with water for 2 reasons. One, water doesn't mask the taste, and two, it's soluble or whatever, so it doesn't break down. So when you drink it with water and you shake it up and you just chug it and it just sits in your gut. I like
uh,
orange juice because the acid helps bring the alkaloids out of it.
potentiates it or whatever
Yeah,
that word
and
is.
that's the thing, like, it's a whole science to this shit. There's a way
Yeah.
that you can fully, like, elevate. You can take I could probably take 5 grams and make that into this crazy ass, thing that I might not even need to take, but it's all about learning it, that's where the boiling comes in and turning it into and the extract, like the acids in grapefruit juice and lemon juice and all this stuff that's really acidic and all that, like that. There's different ways. So I take it with orange juice. I've taken it with everything from Kool-Aid to orange juice to chocolate milk. Don't take it with soda because kratom and carbonation don't mix. I will tell you that.
How does it feel when it sits in your like? I just imagine it being like sludge
Yeah.
in your stomach. Do
See,
you
you get
pass
stomach
it?
ache.
Do you poop it out?
I don't know. I just I
I
don't know.
wonder.
I don't sit there and check my shit for kratom. I don't know, but but that's the thing
I
though, like,
do.
it sits I so it sits in your gut and, obviously it's gotta digest and whatnot. I will tell you this, like, it'll you'll feel it in your stomach. You might get a little stomach ache for a couple minutes, like, it's working through your gut and your intestines and all that other crap, but, um like, it's weird. There's times where I take it and I gotta shit. Like, I gotta it's like a laxative. And then there's other times where, just like Chris said, Bliss Chris said, it can back you up. There's times, yeah, I'm constipated because of that shit, but it's just you learn over time how it affects your body. Because it affects everybody different every single time.
Do you ever get worried? Because I think about like, oh my gosh, what if one day the world shuts down and I can't get my Suboxone prescription? Do you ever worry about that happening with Kratom where you can't get it? And what would you do if you got into that situation? Would you be okay?
So I worry about that all the time. 100%. Um, which is the reason why I realized I need to eventually get off of it because I'm like, I
Yeah, me
feel
too.
like I'm gonna go into this panic mode if I don't have it. And it's not because I need it, but it's not because I feel that I just need to take it. It's because like it's like my safety
It's because
blanket.
our
That's what
bodies are dependent to it.
we're dependent on it. And so I'll
Yes.
tell you this, check this out. I get dreams where I do something in my dream and I'm getting ready to get locked up and go to jail. And guess what? What is my ass doing out of every little thing that I should be doing to prepare to go to jail? I'm worried about how I could fucking take a dose of kratom. I'm like, I wake up panicking, like in a fucking sweat. Like, oh my God. Really? Like, thank God that was a dream. And then I'll tell Brianna, like, yo, I had a dream I got arrested and I couldn't take kratom.
These are real conversations that, and a lot of people have these experiences. Like somebody just said, I worry about that with my insulin. Yeah, same. I'm on a medication that I have to take for my blood sugar, my blood pressure, and for cholesterol. And have those medications, I don't feel right, And I actually had somebody commenting saying, they were like, talking shit about me for being on Suboxone. And I said, why don't you talk shit about me for being on Ozempic that I'm taking for my blood sugar and diabetes? I was diagnosed with diabetes. People don't pick us apart if we're on these medications for heart disease, for diabetes. I got diabetes because I was addicted to sugar and food and caused myself to become a diabetic. But nobody judges me for being on medication to treat my diabetes.
Right. Yeah, it's unfortunate the world that we live in these days, but it's just,
It's the stigma of
it
addiction. It's
it
the
is.
stigma of addiction. It's
Yeah.
just point blank
Uh,
period.
yeah, Bliss Chris said we went on our first cruise last year and I was so scared about taking kratom on board. It's not against the law, but I was scared they would take it from me. I was anxious wreck until we got it through security. I agree
Oh,
with
I would
you
be scared too.
100%. So every time that I fly, I know it's not illegal. I'm good. Like I'm good. So now I will tell you this. Let me backtrack on that statement really quick. Kratom is illegal in a couple states. They have made it illegal in few states. Um, fast forward now. So anywhere I've ever flown out, it's never been illegal. So, but I know the process. Okay, they're gonna go in. My bag's gonna get searched. They're gonna pull it out. They're gonna swab it. They're gonna make sure it's not some crazy ass, poison. They're gonna give it back to me, and I'm gonna move on. And as many times as I've flown, and as many times as I know what's gonna happen, I still get a nervous wreck every single time because I'm like, what if I get this one asshole who just wants to be a dick and it's just like, yep, no, you can't take this. Even though I've taken it 20 times on a flights before, then guess what? I'm stuck in an airport where I can't get credit, and then but again, like that's where the whole addict thing comes in where it's like, yo, like I want to be done with it. Yes, it helps me, but I don't want to always be dependent on it. I don't always want to feel that I have to, that if I don't have it in my reach somewhere, that I'm going to freak the fuck out. Doesn't mean I'm addicted to it, but it just means that yes, I've been taking it so long that my body is dependent on it. It doesn't make me wrong for that, but I don't. I'm done. Like I'm done. I'm tired of being that I always have to have it in arm's reach because God forbid if something happens, I leave the house and I leave for a few hours. I gotta have my backpack with me because what happens if I go out, some shit happens, I get stranded. It's just that, and now my body is and people may listen to this and they may be like, yeah, it's because you're an addict. You know what? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. It's because I'm an addict. But I'm tired of being dependent on something that is actually helping me.
There's a difference between addiction and dependency, 100%. There's many people out there that are dependent on medications, that they've been taking these medications since they were born, maybe, or since they were very young. People that struggle with chronic pain that have never had addictions, they just are dependent to an opioid because it treats their chronic pain. That's why when people say things like, oh, well, that's because you're still addicted, Jared. If Jared was still addicted, then he would be doing all the negative things that he was doing when he was in his active addiction with Kratom, and he's not. He's using it in a therapeutic way to help assist him to stay in recovery and stay healthy.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to stop being like, we got to stop putting pressure on people and shaming people and making them feel like, oh, you need to get off of that. We do it in your time when you're ready. Like you said, you're already processing it. You're thinking about, I'm ready to be disconnected. I'm in the same spot with Suboxone, but it's just not that time just yet.
Yeah.
So instead of shaming people, instead of, oh, you're just addicted, oh, encourage them to keep going into doing therapy, encourage them to keep talking about the process of wanting to taper off and looking into and researching ways to do it in a safe way where they're not getting all sick and shit. You know what I mean? Instead of shaming people and making them feel like less than because they took a different pathway than you.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I'm in therapy, I do mental health as well, and there's my process and there's my even though I know that I'm ready to get off, there still has to be the right time, so um let me see, Todd. Sorry. I feel sorry for you both. You admit dependence. Why be anxious if you don't need the drug? Staying healthy, question mark. I worked through my past, the reason I used to numb yourself. Guess what? That's your personal opinion, Todd. That what works for you. Um, I'm not gonna not, if you feel sorry for us, cool, you feel sorry for us. I'm happy for you. The fact that you don't need anything, 100%.
100% props to you.
That's great. Like you're able to get through that 100%. I respect you for that. I still have stuff in my personal life that I'm working out. Nicole still's got stuff in her life
I
that
don't
she's
feel
working out.
sorry for us at all, though. And honestly, Todd, get fucked. Honey, I feel sorry for you that you got to be up in here talking out the side of your neck on my motherfucking page. Okay? That's how I feel about that. So if you're so healthy, Todd, then why do you have to announce to everybody how sorry you feel? It's not about numbing ourselves. It's about utilizing a medication to stay safe. Okay? Like I said, many people are dependent to medications. Please, Todd, don't let me find out that you're smoking cigarettes. Please, Todd, don't let me find out that you drink a motherfucking cup of coffee every goddamn morning either. Okay, motherfucker? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
I didn't say nothing that time.
But it's people like that. Like, you feel sorry for me? Bitch, please. I feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I'm not draining my bank account like I used to when I was on fentanyl. I'm not out there stealing money from my family. I'm not out there, instead of worrying about buying food for my kids, I'm out doing, worrying about how I'm going to get my last shit. Nah, like if I was really addicted and all that, I would be going through this shit like crazy. I would have zero money. Like, no, that's not the case. Like, just because I mean, I'm anxious when I don't have it because my body is used to it and it's dependent on it. And
And
if
we're
you
having an open,
if
honest, real conversation about that right now. And
right,
it takes a lot to talk about this online in front of people. But you would be surprised how many other people are dependent on medications and feel the same anxiety that we do as well.
right, right.
We are just coming on here and talking about it and being real and being honest about it.
Yeah. And
You
I and
know,
I and I already knew, listen, check it out. I already knew that we were gonna have people like Todd that's gonna come on and that's gonna say something. I get it. Um, your abstinence, I'm not. I give you listen, 100%. Run the damn
and
thing.
because we're not abstinence, we're not going on other people's pages being bitches
Yeah.
because we ain't miserable.
Absolutely. Yeah, somebody's Carrie Jordan said, "Has the insanity stopped?" Yes, you're good then, in my opinion.
Yes, 100%.
I'm not over here freaking the fuck out about how I'm gonna get high again and how I'm gonna worry about going to my next plug or is my next plug gonna kill, is the next pill I take gonna kill me? No, I know that I have a reputable vendor that I go to, that I have that I'm gonna go and that I can walk in and I can buy with my money and I don't have to buy off the streets and this, that, and the third. Like I have no insanity about, like I don't know. I don't know. I just is what it is, like it's just where we're at in life and I'm happy in life. Okay. I really am. There's things that I would like to, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm definitely not where I used to be. But I'm good. I'm good.
100%.
I got a good life, I got a good girlfriend and I got my kids and I have the podcast and I got friends that I've met through and an amazing recovery community and even the ones that are on YouTube that, CPP, that like the ones that aren't 100% that maybe not have that issue, but they still respect and they still understand and they support. Like hell yeah, like that's where I'm at. Like I got a good life. So please don't feel sorry for me because I got a good life. I'm happy.
We're winning in life and we're helping other people by having these honest conversations, you guys. Um, I think a lot of people, it's really easy to judge what you don't understand. And like I was saying earlier, so many of us have been sold this lie that we have to do things this one certain way. And do you understand that going through abstinence only recovery, that literally less than 10% of people are able to obtain and maintain abstinence only sobriety? That means the other 90 to 95% of people are fucking dying, dude.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And so when you really sit back and look at that and you think about, it wasn't me that there was a problem with. What the problem was, there wasn't options being given to us. Now there's options available, and I am so grateful that there is plant medicine. I am so grateful that there is medication assisted treatment. I am so grateful that there are psychedelics out there, ketamine, all the different ways that you can take to start healing and growing in your recovery journey. So don't ever let anybody, you guys, make you feel less than or not good enough because they believe one way is the only freaking way, because there's
Right.
so
Right.
many different ways to get into recovery and change your life. Me
Yeah.
and Jared are sitting here in houses that we pay for, cars that we both probably, my car's paid off. I don't know if you're probably paying your car off or it's already paid off. Okay. We got custody of our children. We have full-time jobs.
Hmm.
Okay. We are sitting online, also sharing our stories and being honest and transparent and helping other people at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to get online and just regurgitate the same old bullshit that you've heard. But like I said, only 10%, and that's me being generous, of people are able to obtain and maintain abstinence only sobriety. So if you're not one of those people, you're always welcome here with me and Jared. So don't ever feel ashamed for the pathway that you choose. So I'm getting off my soapbox because I could go on forever.
Yeah.
Tell me, go
I
ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I gotta go get Brianna from work soon. So, Let's start.
Okay, tell me before we hang up, I would like to know all the amazing positive things that have happened in your life since you started utilizing Kratom in your recovery. Tell us all the things that you're doing and how much your life has changed in the 5 years that you've been in recovery.
Um, I mean, one, my life's 100% 180. I wouldn't expect to be here where I'm at today, honestly. I've been able to, Jesus, like it's crazy, you know. I got what 3 years into my recovery is when I got divorced, and everybody thought that that was going to be like my downfall, and I'm like, nah, like I'm good, like it's not, you know. And so I don't mean to, because my ex would say the same thing. We are much happier now that we are divorced, and so and so it's like, all right, cool, like I may not get my kids full time, but I got 50-50 with my ex, I have I've been able to just be healthier at the end of the day. I'm able to be trusted again with my family at the end of the day. I don't have to worry about people thinking I'm gonna go steal $100 out of their purse, at the end of the day. I don't have to go pawn my bullshit tools and different things. And I've recovery has brought me some amazing shit. I started the podcast before I ever met Brianna, and I actually met Brianna through the podcast, um, through a mutual friend. And it was like I never expected to meet somebody that was on the other side of the country, and here we are a year and a half later, and we live together, and we're she's my co-host and my partner in this, and that we both, and we're doing such great things in recovery. Like recovery's brought some I met some amazing people. I mean, and again, I'm just saying it in a broad aspect of everything from using Kratom to where I'm at now with my life. I got a roof over my head. We got a vehicle. I got a motorcycle. I got a job. Like I have all that. And I just have support. I got friends. I got friends and I got support, and I actually have friends. Like you think you get friends when you're in addiction, and it's like get sober and see what happens at that point, like who's gonna be your friend then?
Jackie is your sister, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's my youngest sister.
Jackie says, I'm crying now. My brother is alive and here.
Yeah, so I
That's fucking amazing.
I could tell you this. I you know, it's an amazing thing to have my sister. I'm the oldest. So it's really cool to have like my siblings be able to look up to me and be like, I'm doing the damn thing. I'm here because like my siblings all went through their own personal shit at the end of the day. They've all been through it, addiction and different things like that. But the fact is that like I was so close to being gone and down and out that I was in some shit. I was in some shit that, like I said, the drugs weren't going to kill me. It was the lifestyle. So to be able to like, I remember, so I moved to Texas. I stayed away for 2 years. I went home after 2 years for the very first time to visit. And I can't tell you, like, I remember, like when my sisters and my brother and all like, came up and gave me this big ass, long ass hug, and they just sat there and cried and cried and cried because I was alive and I was here and I was there, So it's I'm just trying to be like that that hope and that inspiration and that positivity in their lives to let them know, like, I did it. Like you can do it. Like if I can pull my shit out, you could definitely do it. And I got four sisters, two between my mom, two between my dad, and then I have um three brothers, one between my mom, two between my dad, and then I got a stepbrother and a stepsister. So I'm like, I got to be that example, 100%. I may not talk to my family. I tell you this, I may not talk to my family every day. Me and Jackie, I tell you this, we probably rarely talk. I don't talk to a lot of my family, but they know 100%, like they know I love them and I got them, and that like I'm trying every day to be that man that's going to be just that positive influence in their life, and then that's what I'm trying to do now. Like I'm trying to be the best partner I can be for Brianna. You know, I've done, even though I'm sober, I've done some shitty shit. I have. I'll be the first to admit it. I put that girl through some shit you know, in our relationship. So like, just because you get sober doesn't mean your fucking life comes together perfect. Like there's
It
still
takes a lot of work.
you know, like people think you get sober and everything is like, oh, boom, it's all rainbows. No, like there's shit you got, because now you got to deal with life on life's terms sober, like clear minded. Even though you're taking fucking Kratom or you're taking Suboxone, you're still you're taking it. But I'm trying to be the best partner I can be. I'm trying to be the best dad that I can be. I'm trying to be the best brother, the best son, you know, the best uncle, like just everything, you know. That's what I'm trying to do. So everything that I do is for everybody I do it for. Which is why I started the podcast, is because I wanted people to know, like, listen, if my ass can make it out from how deep, dark, and the shit I was wrapped in, you can definitely do it.
I got a little emotional seeing your sister comment that, because I was thinking in my mind, I bet you Jackie's not going, oh, my brother's sober on Kratom. It
Right.
doesn't really count. No, she has her fucking brother back. That's all she cares about. So, before I let you go, I just want you to think about the people in the audience right now that are watching, that maybe they're at their wits' end and they feel like there's not any other way out. What are some words of encouragement that you would give somebody that's struggling and that wants to make a change?
Do it. I mean, do it. Just do it. Fucking Nike. No, as cliche as it is it's like the acronym, you know, hope, hold on, pain ends. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I guarantee you it. But you have to do it. You have to make the first step. It's not going to happen for you. Nobody else can do it for you. You have to do it. And you have to truly be ready to do it. And if you are truly ready to do it, just take that first step. No matter what that may look like, whether it's reaching out for accountability, whether it's reaching into a meeting, whether it's going into detox, no matter what that may look like, don't listen to what anybody else has to say and do it, because at the end of the day, you're doing it for you. You're not doing it for anybody else. You're doing it for you, because you know if you don't do it for you, you're gonna fail. I'm sorry, but you're going to. Look at the people that go to rehab forced by their family. 9 times out of 10, as soon as they're out, they're done. But when they do it for themselves, you know, I got people that's been on the show. They've been in detox 27, 30 times, and I ask them the question, "What's different now?" Because I wanted it. Because I actually wanted it. There it is. Just
Hell
do it,
yeah.
you know?
Hell yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I cannot wait to come on the Blaklist at the end of the month. It's going to be fucking epic. I am
Well,
going to link.
can I plug that?
Go ahead.
Somebody said, oh, Bliss said, Lauren, I think Jared's streaming live on his channel as well. Yes, this whole live right here is on Nikki's channel. It's on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. But the podcast, really quick, I just wanted to just to plug that really quick. Yeah, Blaklist podcast, the Blaklist. I just for ones that can see it, I just put it in the comments. The website, go check it out. Theblaklistpodcast.com. We drop every Monday and Friday. Tomorrow we have Ian Bick from Locked In with Ian Bick. He's dropping. So go check out my episode on Locked In with Ian Bick. It's a very controversial episode. But we have guests on from all walks of life. Doesn't matter how many followers you got. Everybody has a story. So that's what we do. We love to just share stories of encouragement and let people know that if I can do it, then you can definitely do it. And we're grateful to have Nikki that's going to be coming on at the end of the month. And we've had a lot of heavy hitters, and we have a lot of heavy hitters coming for this year. But definitely go check out our website, go check out our socials. Please give us a follow, a like, a sub on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram. We're not on Twitter. I'll tell you that. I don't fuck with Twitter. I don't know why. I just don't. But please support.
We're trying to get them to get busy on TikTok, y'all. So we'll have them popping in a couple of weeks. Just wait and see.
Yeah, because once we hit our at least 500, then we can at least go live audio, and then we hit 1,000, we could do video. So please, if you do not follow us on TikTok and you're watching from Nikki's channel, please go follow us on TikTok. Even if you're not on our channel and you don't, go check it out. We're at the Blaklist podcast, but everything is on the website. All the links, everything's on there. And, you know, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, you name it, we're on there.
Cool, cool. Okay, well, tell Brianna I said hi. I'll let you get off here, and I will text you after this, okay?
All right. Thank you, Nikki, and thank you, guys.
Bye. Okay, guys, so I wanted to come on here real fast before I jump off and say, don't feel sorry for me and don't feel sorry for Jared, because we are living our motherfucking best lives. And y'all know I was about to pop off all the way after I got him off the live because I love him, but I need to say this. It's like religion. Your way is the way you do it, right? You're Baptist, you're Pentecostal, you're Catholic, you're whatever, right? There's all different ways to get to where you're going, right? And utilizing plant medicine, utilizing Suboxone, methadone, Sublocade, Vivitrol, like I said, psychedelics, whatever the case may be, abstinence, using religion to help you in your sobriety. There are so many different people in the world. Can you imagine if we were all stuck trying to do the one way? We would all find ourselves bumping our head against the wall, like I did for 10 years, going in and out of rehabs and treatment centers and thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get this? Why are people getting sober, but I'm the one that keeps relapsing? Because I needed a different path, and there's nothing fucking wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I want to be completely straight up with you guys. If you have to come on people's platform and tell them that you feel sorry for them, or tell them that they're not in recovery or their sobriety is not valid, it says more about you than it does about that person who's using Suboxone to stay sober, or using Kratom to better their lives and help with their pain and stay in recovery. It says more about you. And you might need to call your motherfucking sponsor and go do another 4th step because it ain't working. Oh. But anyways, that's all I got to say about that. I love you guys. I loved having Jared on tonight. I knew that it would get a little spicy because we were talking about Kratom, and I already know how spicy it gets when I talk about being on Suboxone. I get judged the fuck down boots all the time, and I have for the whole 8.5 years that I've been sober. But a lot of those people who were judging me, they're dead. They're not even alive anymore. Let that in. A lot of the people who were telling me I might as well be on heroin, I might as well be on fentanyl, I might as well be smoking meth still, shooting meth still, they're not even here anymore. So while I've been staying sober for 8.5 years using medication-assisted treatment, those same people who judged me and looked down on me for my path couldn't even stay sober. So if you can't even stay sober, voting, which is through abstinence, then don't come on my fucking page and say shit to me. Okay? And that's the experience that I've had with many, many people. Okay? I'm going to have on probably Brianna and Jared on another day, and probably a couple of other people as well. And I want to sit down and I want to have a talk on here about how we have all been sold this rehab lie. And for so many years, you guys, I was in and out of rehabilitation centers, and it was a waste of fucking time and money. Okay? A waste of time and money. And I just don't want other people that are utilizing Suboxone or utilizing medication like medical marijuana or Kratom or psychedelics or methadone or medication for your mental health. I don't want you guys to heal judging me or looking down upon me and then think, and you're struggling and you haven't been able to get sober and stay sober. I don't want you guys to pass up a chance to utilize something that could change and save your life, because that's what Suboxone did for me. It saved my fucking life, dude. It saved my life. I would not be alive today if I hadn't chose to get on Suboxone. Every single day, I look at my son and I thank God. I thank God that I stopped listening to the lies that were being spewed to me for so many years, and I stepped outside of the box. I stepped outside of the traditional 12-step abstinence only box, and I tried a different path, and it saved my fucking life. So do what you have to do to save your life. Don't worry about what Todd's, Dick's, Harry's, Karen's, fucking whatever their fucking dumbass names are say, because those people don't have to live your life. If you overdose and die, if I overdose and die, do you think Todd's going to be here to take care of my motherfucking son? Do you think he's going to fucking come over to my house and take my kid to school in the morning? Hell the fuck no, he's not. So fuck Todd's. I love you guys. I hope you have a great day. I'm feeling super sassy tonight, so I'm going to go lay down and relax because I obviously need to take a chill pill. To talk about what Jared talked about, okay? To talk about having anxiety around our medication, to talk about being ready to come off, but having to wait till the time is right. It takes a lot of courage to talk about these topics, because in the recovery community, we're taught that one way is the only way. And so I just want people to not be discouraged and to not feel pressure to fit in one box, because baby, there's so many options now. You got fucking options to choose from, and it's amazing. And recovery on the other side, being on Suboxone, having custody of my son back, being married to my husband who is on Suboxone and sober as well. Me and my husband used to fight over the syringe. We used to fight over who would shoot up first. And now we have our son, and our life is so amazing and so beautiful. And we would not be here today if we hadn't chose to utilize medication-assisted treatment. So that's what opened my heart and mind to Kratom. I realized I was getting bad information and that I was judging the people that were utilizing Kratom on just a few people's experiences. And I had to step outside of my own judgment and my own, like, I was blinded, right? It could work for you. And if it does work for you, I support you and I'm here for you. I love you guys. I'm going to put all of Jared's links in the comment section and in the description box. And you guys know, if you need me, just send me a DM here on Facebook or on TikTok or on Instagram. I check all my DMs, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. All right. Good night, you guys.